actual design review board meeting for January 2021. And the rules are pretty much the same. We have our applicants here, and our secretary will read the application, and then at that point we'll allow your applicant to come forward. I believe on our agenda, I'm looking for that, we need to do a couple of things. Mary Catherine, let's see. We can go ahead and do the minutes for December, if you all would give us a quick review and then let us know if we can approve the December meeting minutes. And
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I move that we accept the minutes from December 1st, 2020 as written.
Second.
All right, okay. All in favor of approving the December minutes as submitted, raise your right hand. Thank you. Minutes are approved. Now, I think we need to have an election here and of our officers, chair, vice chair. Then the secretary is appointed, I believe, by our board. And we'll do that one at a time. So I'm going to open for nominations for the office of chair, and I'm not running for this office. If somebody else wants to run, you're welcome to it.
Well, I'll nominate McDonald Law for chair.
I'll second it.
I'll third it.
I move that we close the nominations.
Okay. Well,
All in favor?
I think we'll nominate everybody and then we'll have the votes. Okay.
That was proper.
Okay.
I think that was correct.
Yeah. Now, let's open nominations now for vice chair. I could say the same thing. Lucy is an attorney and is performed very admirably in the past and capably. So I'm going to nominate Lucy.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion second. And so any other nominations for vice chair? We could nominate some folks that are not here tonight. Okay, do we have a motion to close nominations then?
I'll make a motion, we close the nomination.
All right, okay, good. And then I think we appoint our secretary. We don't actually ask for nominations.
You can. Did you vote on your vice chair?
We didn't actually vote.
No, we haven't voted yet, but go
ahead and vote on that.
I was getting, y'all considering that first acclamation or whatever it was, a vote on chair?
That was proper.
That was
Okay,
proper.
all right, okay. All in favor of Lucy Knowles as vice chair of Design Review Board, raise your right hand. Okay, looks like you won. With very little campaigning. Now this next one would probably be appropriate, just to have a motion that we appoint Mary Catherine Lawton as secretary.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, good. All in favor of Mary Catherine as the secretary for 2021, raise your right hand. Okay, so now we have a reconstituted board, for better or worse. What we'll do is now we'll go back to our agenda, and we have the McGhees, I think, in the top here. If y'all have anything you want to add, if you don't, you've already just spoken to us, Bill, and does anyone have any questions?
I just have a couple general ones.
If you, of the McGhees?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. McGhee, would you come to the microphone then and tell us your name and your address for the record?
William McGhee, 217 Fairfield Street, Northeast.
I'm curious about the zoning on the lot and parking. Zoning on the lot and as far as parking goes?
We have, it's currently zoned light manufacturing, and we are going to request that it be rezoned to RS10. The parking, we hope to use the rear of the buildings, okay, the two buildings, for all parking and not have driveways. The lot is about 170 feet deep. And there's existing entry in the back, both the two houses before. And we're going to try to link in with that and have no parking in front.
Do you
So
think
really,
it'd be,
we're just voting on the moving of the two buildings and what they're doing there, and then when you get to the details of how you're putting it back together, you come back.
no, well, I think he could, we could ask him to come back, and not come back necessarily. He could submit a little, you're asking for a little bit more of a site plan?
Yeah.
He's got a general layout here, I believe,
Yeah,
but it's not clear about the driveways.
The application, I don't know if it would help to go through the staff report, but that, he has 3 separate applications because it's 3 separate parcels. So you'll need to take action on each application individually.
Yeah,
But requests for each property, so for the 2 houses to be relocated, you're approving the partial demolition for Newberry, relocation, and then reconstruction of elements removed per the material details included in the staff report and the drawings that he provided. So he's requested the whole, everything, including reconstruction of the additions and porches removed, chimneys where applicable, roof. So in theory, he would not have to come back separately. His request is all inclusive.
right. The only reason you could is she's asking about the site layout, and I think that's a legitimate. You just want to know how the driveway's going to work and where you'd park and all. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, I just wondered if that's part of it, or, because I know it's not downtown business, so there's not parking on.
Well, it has with featured additions and reconstructions as submitted. So we know that some more additions will be there. So you want us to hold off on the vote until you see it?
No, I don't think
Just
so.
asking questions.
No, yeah, okay. I mean, I'm just asking because you asked, so, yeah.
I'm just curious if y'all have considered what the parking's gonna be, so, and, I don't know if it, if it's-
Driveway would be located? Yeah, because it's included on the site plan.
Yeah, I think that's something he can give some thought to, that,
I don't know if I don't know if it doesn't really affect us.
Well, on the site plan, we're not showing any driveways coming in from Williamsburg, okay? It's our plan to have the driveway coming in the back. Continuation of the little alley that they have.
Right.
There. There's already.
I guess that's why I was asking, because it does butt up to those that do have the alley.
I think all of those houses that are along there, Mr. McGhee, that's what their common denominator among all of them is that they use the alley, correct?
now, y'all could ask for him to submit
But I don't
a little
see the
site
alley on the
layout
plat.
and we could review it administratively, or if you wanted to see it at the next meeting. I don't see that that would be holding up this necessarily. We would just, look and see if we agree. I think we'd agree with what it's just not shown on the document you're asking about it, so.
So
Yeah,
tonight,
I mean, it's, if you're not building anything, then it doesn't really affect us, but I was just curious.
Well, he's gonna have a driveway there, it sounds like,
We'll have a driveway in the rear.
across the
right?
back. Yeah. I think it's sort of pertinent because these sort of neo-traditional neighborhoods often don't have a garage on the front, and they have a garage in the back, and you access it from the back, and that's really, I think, important and actually increases the value from the front.
Is it when everybody who owns the alley? I'm just learning here.
We haven't really determined that yet. We think that it was proposed that each owner set aside a portion of their lot for that driveway,
An easement.
an easement or
Something,
whatever.
yeah. Well, but these are I think these are relevant questions, but I don't think they are showstoppers for his.
As long as you're not, yeah,
Yeah.
as long as they're not building
So-
a carport back there or
So
something.
back to our vote. I think Mary Catherine was trying to get us in an orderly fashion here in terms of the vote.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Before we get into that? Catherine, would it be proper for that question to be answered? Can y'all do an administrative approval for that?
You could condition your approval of that,
I think it's,
you know, of,
That's the way to go.
yeah. That final location of driveway would be submitted for administrative review and approval.
right, okay. So now, getting back to the first house, I think you've given us a good overview, and we've seen it twice. The one that had the fire damage, and it's a single story. That'll be a vote to relocate the house and remove porches, and then reassemble some of the porches. So that'll be one of the votes. And then we'll do essentially the same thing with the one on Newberry. And then thirdly, there's a demolition application for those buildings that are over there on Williamsburg. So let's that way I think we won't get all caught up in overlapping projects here, if we can, and Mary Catherine's laid it out like that. So let's do this. Before we make a motion on this house, but we may ask if there are others who have any opinions about this, any comments?
Can I just call to the board's attention? In the staff report, the materials are detailed.
Okay.
Specifically, Richland Avenue, the windows would be replaced
Okay,
with wood vinyl clad windows with grids between glass. And
Okay.
the existing vinyl siding will be removed. The underlying wood siding original to the building restored, repaired as much as possible, replaced as needed, and then ultimately painted. And they'll come back and can get, the color approved administratively if you all are fine with that, once they finalize that.
okay,
And they'll be replacing the existing shingles with black architectural shingles.
okay.
What kind of siding is that, Mr. McGhee, on this underneath there? Is it
Evidently,
shiplap or?
Evidently, they put some, the vinyl siding up there years ago, so the wood siding is in real good shape.
And what kind of,
Whatever they used back in the
Yeah.
early 1900s.
Pine, probably,
Yeah.
pine. Okay.
But it's in real good shape.
Have you all discussed the tax implications on the renovations to the tax
You mean
increase?
eligibility for the
Yeah.
tax assessment?
Yeah,
No, I didn't explore that because they're not retaining the properties. Your plan is to flip them, right?
Yeah.
Right, so they wouldn't
okay.
be paying the property taxes.
Yeah, somebody else will purchase and, yeah, okay, all right. So now, if that sounds good, since we've already been through it, I don't know that we need to go through each one of these again with you guys unless you have questions.
Just another clarification to make. So on this property, again, just a reminder, the board has approved back a year or two ago the total demolition of this home. Mr. McGhee has worked with the owners, the church, who originally applied for that demolition and has arranged to salvage the building and relocate it. So we've already amended administratively that total demolition certificate to allow for partial demolition to remove the elements that they'll need to remove in advance of the move. So all you're voting for this one is the relocation and then the reconstruction of those elements to be removed and the material
Right.
changes that we've just discussed.
Okay.
On Newberry Street, you've never seen this before. So this is first a partial demolition in preparation for the relocation. the relocation and then the reconstruction once it's to the new site of elements removed. Williamsburg is the destination for both properties, currently home to this warehouse and attached office space. They are proposing to demolish this building, grade the land, and then ultimately subdivide the lot to accommodate 75 feet wide lots for each of these properties. This is pending a rezoning application to allow for single-family residential.
So, Madam Secretary, in the rezoning, will that take care of some of the questions about the driveway and the alley?
I don't know that access is considered as a part of rezoning. I know that it may be addressed as a part of the building permitting side of things, but I don't know if that's a condition that is considered in the rezoning.
Yeah, maybe not in rezoning, but I think as he gets further into the permitting, they'll probably want to know where does the automobile come in? And it sounds like he knows. So we just need to show it on paper. Not tonight, but we can ask for that in our motion as a follow-up.
Since this is a site being developed, it is under your purview to approve lot layout. It actually is under your purview to
Okay,
where access will be in relation to the home, and
right.
I don't know where else, in what other processes that gets captured. I'm sorry, I can certainly come back with that answer, but.
Yeah, it may be the other part of the other arm of the planning department that will review that as well.
Well, it's
We'll
residential,
have to look at it.
it's not a commercial, there's not gonna be a site plan that has to get signed off on because
Yeah.
it's a residential development. And I just don't know about the rezoning application.
Yeah. Eventually, the building, to get a permit, they're probably going to want to see a site plan, and they want to know where's the power coming in, for instance, and where's the driveway and that sort of thing.
Yeah, for
But
each one, we'll have to get a
we're asking to
permit.
see that, too.
But you had to come back at least one time for the last house you moved because you changed the porch. So, I mean, it's just a matter of coming back if they change something.
Yeah, that's right. And this is just additional information that we're requesting. So, good. Thank you. Good question. And we'll let you all, I think another question?
No, I was just saying we had a question.
Sure, I understand. All right, would somebody else like to speak here?
I had one quick question for Mr. McGhee. So, what Ms. Lawton read about the vinyl, the windows and everything, you agree to what's in the staff comments, that's satisfactory?
Right.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Thank
And
you.
this is literally going to be, it's going to be moved into, is it even Old Lakin?
It is.
It is Old Lakin?
All three parcels are Old
Okay.
Lakin.
Okay. It's in light industrial zone, but now, we understand that. Okay. Now, we had someone who wanted to speak. I believe you're welcome to come forward and give your name and address.
Timothy Ashton, 248 Williamsburg. I'm right next to that, where that new site will be.
Oh, good.
I'm all for it. I think it looks great. And when those were first built, I don't know what the situation is now, it's called Colleton Cottages. It's a little neighborhood. And back in my back lot, that driveway stops, right? There's a fence there. And if it became part of Colleton Cottages, I don't know if that's the game plan or not, that could go through, it's fine with me. But if it didn't, or if it went through, well, we also all have garages in our place.
On the back,
On the backside.
right.
Which a lot of people don't park in the garages, but it's nice, it looks a lot nicer to me, cars in the garage than
Yes.
in driveways or no garage.
Correct.
So I would think if it was part of Colleton Cottages, maybe it would have garages, and we open that back up. And the drive, I think, would go down this side,
Oh, do you want?
this side, but I don't know if that was the game plan, and then loop around.
Good. Well, y'all are in contact, and that's great that you've already opened up communication. That's the more traditional way to lay out these blocks is to have, alleyway service and garages and garbage pickup. So I'm glad you're maintaining that. Now another commenter here.
Hello, Kathy James, 918 Colleton Ave. I'm part of those Colleton cottages, one of those 6 properties. And our deed states that all 6 of us would have to vote whether to open up our right-of-way to that property. So it would have to be approved by all 6 homeowners in that subdevelopment, is my understanding. You do have the gentleman who procured the subdivision here if you want to ask him further questions.
Okay, thank you.
That's not our jurisdiction.
I'll just say that people that own property have the right to access it, and so the worst that will happen is that you'd have to access it from Williamsburg, from the street. So I don't see that that's going to impact you having approval to put these houses here. It'd be nice if that original plan would be continued, and I think that's your intent. But yeah, we'll
I don't think they got enough width for a driveway.
I think that, to clarify what you're saying, Bill, I think that this was a good time for you all to address that and verify the legal steps that need to go through to connect the driveway or not, and then you'll be able to come back. Right now, you really couldn't give us a diagram until you know about connecting. But I think that was the original idea, that it be set up like a original neighborhood with access in the rear and not have a lot of garages on the front. Okay, any other comments from those who are present tonight? If not, we'll go ahead and have a motion. I think we do it one at a time, if y'all understand the way it's broken up. One of them being, the first one we talked about was 427 Richland Avenue, and as we've already approved removing the porches, so it's really now a vote on moving the house and relocating it.
So, Mr. Chairman, with respect to CERD 21-001023, I move that we approve the application as submitted, and including that all windows will be replaced by single hung wood-clad windows and vinyl with grids. Vinyl siding will be removed, and underlying wood siding repaired, and I guess color to be submitted at a later date.
Okay, and then maybe we add one little sentence to these two motions that they'll submit as they determine the driveway location, that they submit a little site plan then at a later date, and we can do it administratively if you like, or any other way.
Yeah, provided that a site plan for the Williamsburg lot where this house will be put will be submitted for administrative approval at a later date.
Okay. Okay. Got a motion, second. Any other discussion? All in.
Looking at, just real quick, I'm looking at this chart that Mary Catherine put together, and it says is it a non-contributing property, or is it contributing?
That's for historic.
This is non-contributing, I think.
That's the other overlay district. They'll actually, there's a separate matrix for this district, which is the Old Aiken overlay district.
That's the historic district, I believe.
And they're not in the historic
All right,
district.
because it says driveways, if it's non-contributing, don't apply
Yeah.
for us.
And actually, if it were a, standalone driveway, that's all they were doing, per the matrix for their district, it would not require approval, but since it's a part of the site plan, this larger scale development, then that ups the,
Right.
Okay.
bumps it over to your
Okay.
purview.
Now, we we have a motion, second, no more discussion. All in favor of the application for the relocation of the house at 427 Richland Avenue, raise your right hand. All righty. Okay, so that one is approved, and then we'll now entertain a motion for 147 Newberry. It's a little bit different because we're approving some removal of portions of the house before the house gets moved. Or partial demolition.
So, Mr. Chairman, with respect to application CERD 21-001024, for approval for the partial demolition and relocation of the house currently located at 147 Newberry Street Northwest to 222 Williamsburg Street Southeast. It will also feature additions and reconstruction as submitted in the packet.
Okay. And the additional information on removing vinyl siding, he should get extra points for that. And then trying to restore the wood siding underneath. For one thing, you can tell what condition it is that you don't know when it's covered in vinyl. This is a actual 1885 house, and I think this will give it an opportunity to survive into this next century, obviously. Now, you want to add that same little sentence about they'll be submitting, did you mention that, submitting a driveway layout?
I didn't, but
Yeah,
with them submitting the driveway. yes.
that's right, okay,
Okay. I have no problem with that.
For administrative
For
approval.
administrative approval.
all right, okay,
Second.
good. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of the relocation of the house at 147 Newberry Street, raise your right hand. Y'all on board?
Yeah, it was unanimous.
Okay, you've already voted, okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, thank you. Now, the demolition of the current existing buildings at 222 Williamsburg Street, I don't think we ask about comment on that. If anybody has comments, you're welcome to come forward. I don't think these are contributing properties. It's hard to say. They were built somewhere between 1800 and 1955, it looks like. Is that right?
What's the,
Parts of it,
it's a fun, yeah.
different times. So at any rate, I'll entertain a motion on that now,
All
please.
right. Mr. Chairman, in reference to application CRD 21-001025 for the demolition of the properties located at 222 Williamsburg Street, I submit that we approve this as presented.
All right. Did I hear a second?
Second.
Good.
Just-
Any other discussion?
Discussion is that it's not a historic contributing property, and certainly the character of the neighborhood is changing from light industrial to residential, and what is proposed will be an improvement over what's there.
Right.
Yeah, it's as a matter of fact, my wife's family was the ones that built that building there.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was operated as the Aiken Beverage Company for years and years. During I know that during World War II they produced some of the first Dr. Pepper in the country out of there. So,
So it is a historic site.
yeah.
We maybe need to put a little plaque, the McGhee's may be interested in that. and
Yeah, calling Alan Riddick.
Put a marker there. So that's interesting, and we've got we have a motion
And a second.
and a second, and had some discussion. All in favor of the demolition of these old warehouses, raise your right hand. All right, good. So I think y'all can now move forward. Thank you. All right, Madam Secretary, it looks like we now can move forward and back to Hayne Avenue, is that right?
So, item E of new business is application number CERH21-024 Applicants Genevieve P. and Stephen R. Vogler request approval for a chimney cap replacement at 1033 Hayne Avenue Southwest. Tax map parcel 104-19-20-004.
Okay, thank you. And then I'll ask your,
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to recuse
Recuse yourself?
myself because of the location in
All
the
right.
state. Thank you.
yes, thank you. Would you mind coming forward and giving us your name and address officially, please?
And as they approach, this property is a contributing property in the Historic Overlay District, constructed in approximately 1927.
Good. And one of the three sisters,
And one
I believe. So you all, I appreciate you coming to the work session because it's a, you've got some technical issues here that don't necessarily coincide with our design guidelines, but we understand you want to live there and make it into a practical home place with a real fireplace. I think that you all understand that you've actually, they didn't tell you these were historic properties, but they actually have established a character of Hayne Avenue long ago that has been maintained, fortunately. And those little ornate chimney caps were part of that. So we actually have a separate section on chimneys in our design guidelines. You may have seen that. We're real particular about alterations to chimneys. A lot of times they tell you something, just the amount of detail on a chimney tells you the quality of the home. And and I think that shows with these clay caps. I think what we'll need to take into consideration is whether we're in essence allowing you to use that as a fireplace, with wood burning fireplace or not, because apparently those clay caps are not allowing the use of the of a wood burning fireplace.
Correct.
Perhaps it could be a gas log type, which isn't your preference. Do y'all have any other comments? And then I'm going to ask folks in the audience if they have any comments. We've got a lot of, I think, technical information that we needed. And it looks like, y'all have brought us everything you could find out about it, and we're glad you're renovating the house, certainly. And in a few minutes, we'll just have our vote.
I just wonder if like the SHPO or somebody could be helpful with this problem. The State Historic Preservation Office. I mean, I
agree. I think I think there's a solution except for this damper thing that now doesn't exist. That's this damper. So it would be good information to have, and perhaps since Mary Catherine has a lot of spare time, she could research. We talked about this earlier in the afternoon about surely this problem has occurred before, and but not in.
I think the problem occurred before it hasn't occurred because of the decorative caps, correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
I think the whole issue with ours is the decorative caps that are having to be taken down in order to fix the chimney. Because a lot of places you drive around, they may have old fireplaces, but they don't have the decorative caps on top of those.
Right. Yeah, you have a number of things, one being the steel liner that's
Correct.
doesn't usually, it coexists with the clay thing on top.
Correct.
I believe you can handle it aesthetically, but not for a functional wood burning fireplace. So we'll just have to vote, but I think it's come up, this is about the third time. People have brought these clay, and we've fortunately come up with a practical solution. This one is sort of stumping me because of the because of the need to use it as a damper too. So we'll
Mr.
go ahead, go ahead.
So,
To answer your hint or your question, I could reach out first thing in the morning to SHPO and see if they have any
Yeah.
technical guidance to offer.
Yeah, let's do that. I think they would benefit from it. We'll have to go ahead and vote tonight. I don't think we want to.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to recommend, because, if I'm correct, Madam Secretary, if you get voted down, you have to wait a year to come back. And so, I'm kind of on the fence on this. And I think that if we were to continue this until next time, you could maybe work with Ms. Lawton and see if there's some way of doing this that's acceptable to everybody.
Just a possible, so I'll reach out, and if the answer is no, unfortunately, we're not aware of anything, the motion could be made to reflect that if no additional suggestions are offered by the state, if you're amenable to what they've offered, you could proceed.
That's a
Or
good-
if they do have an alternative, then they would come back before you all next month.
So what's what's your timeline with this?
Well, it's just kind of holding up the rest of, the,
It's a messy job.
it's a messy, and it's just, we're trying to,
Paint the inside
Paint, yeah.
and get the house kind of, because it's been kind of worn down from the last owner, so we're trying to get a really messy job done so we can move into the rest of the house and get that finished. And so we haven't furnished the house, we haven't painted the front part of the house. It could be, I'm not sure how dirty this will be when they start putting all that stuff in, so we didn't want to do any of that and then have to redo it all when we just bought
move
the house.
everything, take all the carpet
Is there one flue under those two caps? Is that what it, or do you have two flues?
I think we have two flues.
So they've taken, somebody has taken one down, but they haven't actually put the steel
They had done-
liner
they'd
in
done
yet?
nothing.
Okay.
we stopped it
We stopped.
immediately, as
Yeah.
soon as we.
Yeah. Now, I think that the issue's gonna get back to that damper deal, but we could, it's gonna be helpful to find out what do you do with clay, and they may have some answers. How do you word the motion could be that we will see if there's another option here and present it to you,
Contingent upon confirmation from the South Carolina Department of Archives and History
Yeah.
that no viable alternative
Yeah,
exists. They could proceed as,
okay,
submitted.
yeah, yeah.
I would prefer to just take the month and, see if there are second opinions, or, I'd just prefer to wait on this, because I think this
So
is a-
how do you, I'm fine with that too. I really like the clay caps, and they identify those three houses. But how do you resolve their damper
Well,
problem?
the problem also besides that is, in order to fix the chimney, we have to get the caps off to get the pipe in. So the caps have to come off if
Right.
we want to fix the chimney.
Correct.
So if we don't take the caps off, and the exposure is the caps breaking. So the question is, we fix the chimney or we don't fix the chimney?
Well, no, I mean, I'm okay with you taking the cap off.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I think, and I'm not even sure they need, I mean, if they're taking the cap off temporarily,
Well, they may
I don't
come
thi-
off temporarily, but they may break because they're so
yeah, no,
old.
I get that, and,
We can
The other
vote,
issue is when
you
you,
can,
don't drop them on purpose.
you can vote that, like we've done this partial demolition, you can vote that to approve their removing the remaining one and protecting it,
Yeah,
as much as possible, and proceeding with their liner
yeah,
thing. In the meantime, we can research any other options. Sooner or later, though, they gotta address that, but that way they can start with he's got 2 or 3 weeks of
We got the
putting a steel
scaffolding.
pipe in a chimney, and I don't know why we wanna stop
no,
that.
I think that's fine, so, if they need a motion to temporarily remove,
That's right.
I'm fine with that.
That's right.
I think that's, yeah.
They probably would like to know, is there another solution? Could they
Yeah,
put it, but I think it'll involve them, we're installing a damper somehow down below.
so if we just give you permission tonight to remove the one that's
We can proceed
That's
on.
satisfactory for you.
Remove the one that's still left, and then
Yeah.
you can start the process, getting the pipe in and all the installation, all that. So that's all done, and then we'll have to deal with what we put back.
Yeah, yeah, then the question is whether you have to put it back or, yeah,
If
okay.
they have the society
Find
that you,
something out, that's great. I mean,
That'd
because
be
we
great.
like them too. It's
We
not
like
that
them.
we don't.
We've run, this is the third time so we really do need to find out, is there a reasonable way? I think there would be. Now, the other question is, you weren't part of removing the damper, is that right?
no.
They don't know, the damper had never been there, as far as you know? The damper at the bottom?
No, I think the guy who's working on the fireplace now has cut the damper out.
Okay. So he hadn't damaged the smoke shelf and all that?
I haven't looked inside there, but
Yeah.
he says it can't be replaced because whatever he did to get it out, he can't put it back in.
Right, okay.
But that was unknowing, we didn't know at
We
the
didn't know at
time
the time.
what was
Yeah,
going on.
well, I just think it's important to have the smoke shelf, even if you don't have a damper, you can't go in there and, just run a pipe down there and have a thing on top that opens and your fireplace, that doesn't make the fireplace work. It has to have a smoke shelf in there
I
to
don't
work.
think he was, the guy who's doing it's been doing it 40
If he's a fireplace
Yeah.
mason, he knows that,
Yeah, he'll,
but the guy doing the pipe might not be.
Well, and then I guess one other thing we didn't talk about was the drawing issue.
that's what he's talking about.
Oh, that's what you're talking about, is the
That's
smoke shelf.
That's what I'm talking about. You can build a chimney and go straight up and it won't work. Even
We've
though,
had that happen before.
yeah, it's got to have that little shelf in there. And that's really where the damper usually sits. That's why I'm concerned you take the damper out, they might have, removed the smoke shelf. Because this thing, that's a nice way to open it and close it, but it doesn't help the thing operate. So, anyway, this is a good compromise, let y'all move forward, and in the meantime, we'll see what more we can find out, because we actually talked about, checking to see what kind of caps could be put on. Now, we'll, thank you, we'll see if anybody else has an expert here on clay chimney caps. Y'all are welcome to come speak, and we'll welcome any advice. Otherwise, we'll have a motion, I think, modified.
So here's what I'm thinking. See how everybody else feels about this, that we would give them permission to remove the cap,
The second cap.
the second cap. And if it all works out and the cap can go back, and then they're fine. They don't have to come back.
Correct.
And then, but if they want permission to leave the caps off permanently, then they'll have to come back.
That's a good way to do it.
Is that, Mr. Vogler, Mr. and Mrs. Vogler, is that good with you? You understand what I'm suggesting?
What we got, so the cap that comes off may be broken, and not be able to go back.
Yeah, so if that happens, you'd have to come back, but if you're willing to put the two caps back, then you don't have to come back, and you don't have to make any other applications. But if you want to leave them off, then you'll have to submit another application.
We're holding off tentatively putting that on top right now.
Yeah, right, yeah, we're not going to approve
We don't
that.
want to hold up your work on the flue.
So we keep check with the society, they come back and say, if there's nothing out there, then we use your gas and stuff, come back and.
Yeah.
Say we want to use.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'll let you make that modified, it looks like we've had everybody who wanted to comment. If you want to make that motion.
so, with respect to application, number H21-024, I move that we grant the applicant's permission to remove the second of the two clay chimney caps, and provided that they will be restored when the work is finished, and also provided that if the applicants determine that it's not feasible to replace the two chimney caps, that they would submit a separate application for the caps that they intend to use.
Okay, and that we all will hope that these things, as they're removed, that can be secured and protected, whether they're reused or not.
Well, then we'll talk about that if they have to come back. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Okay, good. That's our motion. Got a second?
Second.
A motion second. Okay, all in favor of the modified motion that allows them to remove the cap and just secure it along with the other one? And then we're going to see what options we might find to replace it or replace it with an alternate cap. All in favor, raise your right hand. Good. So we've got a path forward, and then we'll see what we can find out as far as options there. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, on that last issue, the only thing I can say, you might want to check with your chimney people to make sure that you don't need that extra height in there from those stacks to draw with. Because if you have a chimney that's put in that's not the correct height, it won't draw correctly. I'm sure you're probably aware of that, so. Good, good.
Good, okay.
Mary Catherine, can we put, the thing about this that bothers me is that they didn't know they were in a historic district. And we run into it again and again and again. Where does that get addressed? Is it communications? Is it?
So I mean, I have a wish list of projects that, I've got a giant whiteboard of things to fix and improve in our little design review land. And one of them is to send out a mailer to everyone in the overlay district. My initial suggestion to Ryan was to do a door hanger, but he said a mailer would probably be less labor intensive for the poor people who have to go every property. Anyway, send out a mailer saying you're in the X overlay district. We have to do two separate ones for both, because we had two different overlay districts. But yeah, the short of it is I can do that. I would like to do that. Send out a mailer to property residents acknowledging that we've got renters or, so it would have to be two separate lists to address property owners who live out of town. And just let them know that they're in the overlay district and what that means for their property.
Does the county record that on the deeds? Or do they not, they make you go back to the
You want
city to
to
look
come
it
forward to
up?
comment? Uh-huh. Now, you could send it, go ahead. If you do it on the record, that would be great.
Since it's kind of an issue, it sounds like, and since we didn't know and it created this, mess for us, probably the easiest way would be on the real estate disclosure form when people sell their properties. That are you in the historical district, or you not, so a box is checked, just like plumbing, electrical, the roof. I'm not sure what the process is to get it on the disclosure form, but it seemed like that would be a very easy thing to do, but Charleston probably deals with it, it's a historical district here, Savannah, but that would probably be the easiest.
Yeah.
That was supposed to have happened already. That was one of the first battles that Ryan fought when he got here before I was here, was trying to meet with the realtors to make sure that they were aware of this and that it was getting included on the disclosure form. Because
if we would have known, we would make the seller deal with the issue before we bought the house. But now they're long gone, so now we're stuck with the issue.
That's right. And the Aiken Board of Realtors, we could just send them an update.
Yeah.
These are, just send them the little, these are the districts, here they are. Please communicate this to your members too. They may or may not do it, but at least they've got the information because people, change at those.
Sooner or later, it's going to be a huge issue economically for somebody, and somebody's professional liability coverage is going to get kicked in because they're going to get an errors and omissions claim filed against the broker and
Yeah,
the
I mean,
realtor.
but the short of it is, we can't make people disclose. We
No,
can't
you
make
can't.
people do their due diligence. We can't make realtors, so we've got.
Or the lawyer.
I've got a short list of realtors who call all the time and are familiar with the overlay districts and know that they have homework to do and do their homework. Unfortunately, there are some maybe who don't deal much in these districts, or I don't know.
That's right. If
but-
you're dealing out on the
but
south side, it's not even an issue, yeah.
To answer your question, Katie, the bigger picture issue Ryan has tried to tackle before. Obviously, there continue to be properties that fall through the cracks. So what can I do in my little world? I can send out a postcard that lets people know, and maybe it needs to happen annually, knowing that there's turnover. Just a reminder, you're in the overlay district looking at doing work in the new year. Call our office to verify that it doesn't need a certificate of appropriateness or a building permit.
Just the communications program.
Yeah, okay. I think we're ready to move forward to application F, is that right? Okay,
Application number CERH21-026, applicants Robert W. Stencabbage and Kathy James request approval for the installation of 12 solar panels on the garage at 221 Ori Street Southeast, tax map parcel 121-10-26-015.
all right, and I would like to ask Robert or Kathy, please, to come forward and give your name for the record, and I think your address is still 221 Ori Street.
The property address is 221 Ori Street. Our mailing address is 918 Colleton Avenue.
Okay,
Kathy James and Robert Stein.
Robert Stencabbage.
okay. I think we've got a pretty good idea what you're wanting to do, and that looks like a perfect roof exposure there. And how much of your house will the panels provide power for?
100%. It'll produce more power than we use.
Good, okay. Do y'all understand the concern about the electrical service and where it might come in? I don't know if that's related to the electrical panel, the solar panel.
Well, what we're applying for here is an orange, and the main service line concern is an apple. And the neighbors and ourselves, we're still in an ongoing dialogue, addressing the issue, understanding their concerns about their vegetation and the structure of their wall. We've also had the people from Dominion Energy out to discuss best alternatives.
Okay,
Unfortunately, the power pole to the south, which is on Gail McLean's property, it cannot cross over toward our main service requirement because it would cross over a trench with waste and water lines for the city, so that wouldn't be allowed. There's also a large section of tarmac that would have to be upended.
we're talking about you're still talking about underground now?
Yes. And coming in from the other side, well, understanding the concerns of our neighbors, we've offered and are still willing to get somebody from the city engineering department to come out in order to assuage and reconcile their concerns. And the trench would be entirely on the city's right-of-way. We've already expressed our concern for their plants that are in the area of the digging, and that we would personally be hand digging around those plants to protect them as best we can. So what we're speaking to here is trying to work a solution where we get our right and our requirement for a main service line coming into the north side of our garage, and also at the same time, just understanding and empathizing with their concerns for their plants.
To clarify just a little, the main service coming to the house has nothing to do with the solar. That needs to occur whether you approve or disapprove the solar. The main service, as it stands now, according to Dominion Energy, would come through the town's right-of-way, which is 6 feet from their brick wall. So we don't expect it to impact the brick wall. They have plants in the town right-of-way, which we have offered to dig up and replant and replace if there's a problem with them after having been replanted. So we're in a right-of-way and an issue that has nothing to do with the solar application. Is that clear? Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay.
So the service line is going to go in somehow or another, whether or not you put the solar panels up.
Exactly.
Right. And the application really is the solar panels. I think it's good to have the discussion, obviously, because you don't know sometimes when a power company, you say, I want electrical service, and you get it, and you may not be happy with the way they do it. So that's good to have that discussion with certainly the power company, maybe the city. Sounds like a lot of this work's going on. Is it digging up curb and sidewalk and all? No?
No, it's just digging up right on the edge of the tarmac and coming along on the city's right-of-way.
Does it come in through your new opening where your driveway is, right there?
It'll be to the
It
right
goes
of,
under the brick wall on our property.
it'll be to the right of the opening for the driveway access.
It'll be your wall that's coming under?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's actually paralleling
Correct.
the other wall. And it's you said there's 6 feet of
6 feet before our trench.
easement, of right-of-way left.
There's actually from the road out, it was measured by the representative from Dominion Energy, and there's approximately 7 feet from the edge of the tarmac to the brick wall. 4 feet is their property, and the remaining 3 plus or minus
So
is city
they're
property.
actually going to stay in the right-of-way with the,
That's correct.
they have to, unless they get an easement or something.
It's our
Yeah.
intention to stay in the right of way.
Okay, all right. Okay, any other questions, guys?
Yeah. I was just noting on the application, it said these panels are least visible, and how do you,
That has to do with the vendor and the panel brand we selected. Some local
the lower profile?
Some local vendors use a silver edge to the
Right.
black panels, and so they stand out. And some vendors each panel has its own cables, and they take the cables from each panel and they bring it up over the roof and down the side of the house. Our vendor uses a black frame on every panel, so each panel is black on black, and it will be disguised as much as it can on the roof. And they take the cables that come from each panel and take it under each panel through the roof so that you don't see any cables from the exterior of the building.
How do you protect the, for ongoing maintenance on the property and the roof? How do you maintain the integrity of
How
the
much
roof underneath it?
space is there between?
About 2 inches total on
Yeah,
the
a
rack.
couple inches.
It's a
Okay.
it's considered a low-profile
It
system.
hugs the roof, but it doesn't touch.
Okay.
So you have to,
If you had to replace the roof underneath it,
All the panels have to come off if
We
you
went-
replace the
that's
roof.
quite an expensive process.
We
to
went
go
with a
through.
high definition architectural shingle, which has a lifespan of approximately 35 to 40 years. The panels have
Yeah.
a lifespan of at least that.
Right, well, in South Carolina, they say that, but they don't last that long in South Carolina.
Yeah,
so-
our
because of the
vendor
heat.
has told us that the roof should last a little longer because the solar panels protect it. But they would theoretically fail about the same time.
what's the name of the company? Can you give us that?
It's on the application. It's Boss Energy out of Charleston.
Now, that's the installer.
Yes, sir.
I just wondered if the brand of the panel itself.
Oh, I don't have that at my fingertips, but it's on my phone. If you really need it, I can find it in about 2
Well,
minutes.
I think it would be helpful because we're having more and more of these.
Yeah, that's why I was
come
asking the
through.
questions, because it's a recurring thing. that-
Yeah, even if we had, a cut sheet of it, we might ask to just submit it.
We have a similar arrangement at our current home on 918 Colleton. And it also is a low-profile, black frame.
Yeah.
Set low off the roof, and we're currently net zero in that home.
Where was that located?
918 Colleton.
Okay.
No, I think that'd be something we could ask, if you, just as a follow-up document that you,
I do have the name of the panels.
did they give you a little brochure that,
It's online. We don't have a hard copy, but I could send it to Mary Catherine if you like.
I think that'd be helpful.
It's called, it's by a company called Quantum Duo, and it's called the Q Peak Duo BLK G6 Plus.
Quantum Duo is the company, or is the,
Quantum Duo appears to be the company.
okay. Okay, yes, if you'll send that, we often get
There's a
a.
little picture, if you want. It's
All right.
black on black.
No, I think we'd really like to have that sort of as part of the record, and as we have people bring these things in, it's good to make some comparisons.
It's not the same exact brand as what's on our current house on Colleton Avenue. Those weren't available. This is a German design panel, and this particular company in Charleston uses it for their residential installations.
Okay,
But
good,
we liked it a lot.
good.
How long has the other one been on Carlton?
2 years.
2 years. Okay.
And it's net zero as well. That one has 14 panels. Our new one has 12.
Okay.
Is that because of the increased efficiency of the units?
Yes, the units are almost equivalent efficiency, but the house on Horry Street is 20% smaller. So that's, the house on Colleton produces more energy than it uses. We expect the house on Horry will produce even more energy than it uses.
And it goes back to the power company, the power does, and they credit you with,
Yes, it's the Dominion Energy net metering program.
But
We
if-
initiated the other one with SCE&G. This one is initiated with Dominion Energy.
and this is only drawback to that is if their power goes off, yours does too.
Yes, sir. Unless you get the battery panels, they're very expensive.
Yeah, okay, well, good. Any other questions?
That was a good,
just
that was a
to-
good question.
To remind you that, if there's any impact to the wall, that's an issue for design review.
The solar installation has nothing to do with the wall. They install it on the roof only, and the cables go down to the main meter. So it has nothing to do with the
Well, yeah,
main
right.
power coming to the
I
wall.
think I understand that, but if the access, the main access has anything to do with the wall, then that would just, if there's any impact to the wall from any of this, that's an issue for design.
The Dominion will be in trouble.
Yeah, well, whoever, if there's going to be trouble with the wall, we need to know about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
We
walls
expect-
are part of our,
Because we're 6 feet away from the wall on our trench, we don't expect any impact.
but you're coming under the wall, right?
Under the wall on our part of the wall.
That's what we're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
The wall,
Okay.
by the way, is not historic. It's less than 20 years old.
it's still a wall, it's a masonry wall.
Historic, but the wall is not.
Well, it looks nice.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? It's beautiful.
Okay, well, thank you. We'll ask if anyone, any other questions? Okay, we've got a couple more applications to go. Yes, I understand. I'm getting ready to excuse you guys and see if anyone would like to speak.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. You can come forward, sir.
Shouldn't take long. I'm not in the habit of saying that people, I'll leave that alone. But anyway,
And you are, I know who you are, but tell her who you are.
I'm sorry, Arthur Washington.
Okay, thank you.
Regarding the wall, the reason that I asked that this project not go forward is because of the issue with the wall. When Robert talks about talking to the people of Dominion Energy, it was my phone call to Dominion Energy. I spoke to the technician there, Michael, and he offered a better, non-intrusive way for them to get that underground wiring, which would have no impact on the wall, but come from the north side of their property. Now, they may or may not have the right to dig where they want to dig. That's why I asked for the design with the specs on it, so that we all can physically see who has the right of way or not. I spoke with Supervisor Ms. Martin again today and requested that Dominion Energy prepare a letter or send that supervisor, Mr. Michael, here so he can explain to you exactly what they intend to do or not intend to do. So I'm asking for time that they have an opportunity to to come to speak with you, or at least in the design process, that my neighbors lay out a design with the specs so you can all see. Relative, the other thing to the wall, an easement, they're coming and have already started with a wire from the opposite side of our common wall, dug underneath it and across, and held the wire is still there. Because their intention, as I see it, is that they're also going to dig underneath my main wall in order to get the power that they need to connect for their solar panels. So they have another option.
The
I
solar
wanted to
panels
see the
don't,
design.
yeah,
I want them to specify and show you in writing exactly what they're going to do. Because half of the stuff that they told you isn't true. But I can show you where they've run the wire already under my wall. And it's there.
it's going across your property?
Yes.
And what's, okay, we really are getting out of our area of expertise. I don't know what the wire is for, but you don't need
You can ask
to,
them.
you don't need to run power to solar panels.
No, because solar power produces its own, but it needs some sort of wire. Solar, that's the purpose. It makes its own energy. But you want to
That's
feed it
right.
back to the city or whatever, whoever you feed it back to.
Must be some sort
then
of
you have
phone
to have a wire
line.
that goes back to them.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm saying that they're running the wire under my property to enhance their property. They want to dig up the road, that beautiful area, when they have an area that's closer to their panel and their property, because they don't want to trench near their property.
I don't think that's what I heard. I heard the city had a utility line or several lines that you can't excavate through. So
Well, I
that's
think what he
something,
was saying, that he can't excavate through his sewer line. And the people from the utility company clearly stated that they had a way around that. They didn't have to go under his sewer line. But his reason for coming over to the other area and destroying that is because he doesn't want it. He doesn't want anything on his property. When you take a wire from your property and stick it under mine for your benefit, there's too much of that. That's why I'm just asking that this be delayed until we get the design and get an answer from the energy people and see his physical, complete design about where he is putting things that helps him do his solar.
well, I
Because
appreciate
it's
your
more than
comment.
just what's sitting on the roof. I have no problem with that.
Good.
But it's what's coming from that house over into my property and destroying my landscape when they have a better alternative. And the electrical company will testify to that. But for him to go ahead, he would have to come through. And
I
cause
think
permanent
you have-
damage, cause permanent damage to our property.
You have some, what's the word, regress, you have some right to complain if somebody is running a wire or utility or a trench or whatever on your property. We don't have any jurisdiction, because we have guidelines we're following, and that says nothing about where wires can run. It says that.
Says that, excuse me, it says that he can put his panel up,
Right,
he has to do it a certain way.
that's right.
And I'm saying, if you tell him he can put his panel up, then he's coming over to doing it a certain way, which causes me irreparable damage. That's why I'm asking for a particular settling down period till the next meeting, till we can get these other experts in here to let them tell you.
How long have y'all been discussing this?
These things were being done, discussion. I go out in my backyard, he's got the wire underneath my wall. That's a discussion. He's telling me, don't worry about the digging, I'm gonna dig 3 feet along your wall. I says, gee whiz, you're gonna ruin my wall. That's
ahead.
nothing. The plants, we'll replace your plants. I don't need you to replace my plants. You got another area where you can go. The electrician told you that from Dominican Energy. He showed you another alternative to come my way. Talking about even rights of way. You're digging up a 100-year-old sidewalk. He's talking about the tarmac on the other side. Nowhere near that age.
I believe your partner wants to say something. Can you give us your name?
Yes, I'm the owner of the Senator Cushman Estate.
Okay,
Vance Estate.
Right.
Along with my husband.
right.
If our neighbors would have had the courtesy to sit down with me as well and make me understand what they're doing instead of me seeing wire coming on my property, that's a big issue to me. My house is over 100 years old, and I treasure it with all my heart. And for somebody to stick things and think they're just going to abuse my home, I have some serious issues I'm taking above another way, of course.
Okay,
So the idea is that we can disagree. I can get emotional, but we're going to do the right thing, whether it's in my favor or not. We have to try to work together and understand. So when the gentleman Energy says, here's a alternative that won't hurt you in any way. Make peace.
okay.
And you insist, I ain't going that way because I don't have to.
Well, let's have them respond, and then we do need, we don't want to be here all night, I don't think, talking about,
sir. No, sir.
talking about a wire. But I'll go ahead and let Mr. Cabbage, if you don't mind, Cabbage, can you tell us what wire we're talking about?
The wire in question is a wire that, this was originally all part of the same estate that was subdivided.
Right.
Third of the acre that we purchased last year.
Right,
Was originally going to have 3 townhomes on them
right,
and take the entire lot square footage up with structure.
okay,
We're building a 1-bedroom home on the property. We, in excavating for the drain waste line, dug up a line that was running the carriage house lamps that are on the top of the wall all the way down to the corner by Gail McLean's property.
oh, across your gate,
Yeah, it went underneath the entire property, and there was kind of a hodgepodge of
so that
wire.
wire was already there,
Yeah, we're talking about a UF wire servicing a light bulb.
okay,
Okay. Look, everybody in these divisive times is entitled to their own narrative based on their experiences and their reality. We have had what I thought was an honest and face-to-face conversation all along with these folks about the least impactful way to service our property, which is our right and our requirement. The property in question is the city's property,
The right-of-way,
the right-of-way. They have their plantings on the city property. Even still, we want to be sensitive to their plantings on the city property.
right?
So we said that we would hand dig around those plants, and if something happens to them, we'll replace them.
Okay,
We've been extending every possible courtesy, and even after the Dominion Energy actually was out, and I think a simultaneous call was made by me at that same time. So as far as the representative coming out and discussing, there was no best alternative coming from the power pole to make a correction to the south, not to the north. To the north is their power pole, that is the one we're coming off of, in fact.
correct.
To the south is the one on the Gail McLean apartment.
That's the one that there's a sewer line that'll
That's the one that
conflict.
would cross the sewer line and the water line, and also it would have to go under about approximately 20 feet of tarmac. The sidewalk in question on the Vance Washington property, it doesn't even come out to
Yeah.
the street, and it's
Yeah.
not even on the city's right-of-way. So we would be trenching in that pole base across, parallel with the street,
Yeah,
and then doing a 90-degree sweep once we get on the property, the city
Right.
property in front of our property, going underneath our wall, feeding our meter can on the
Right.
north side
and
of our
I
garage.
don't know why you would be directing the power company how to come in. I think that's their
That's
their decision that,
they try to determine these things in the least impactful way to all concerned, but the bottom line is they need to service our home with power, and that is the pole that they are choosing to come off of. So as far as any of these things that we haven't discussed, or I even offered last week, after speaking with the Dominion Energy rep, I thought we had it resolved. I said, I will get the city engineer out here, and if he says that we can dig underneath,
Okay.
will you be okay with that? Mr. Washington said, yep, if you can do that, I'll be okay with that.
right?
I made the call to the city engineering department, and I was told by Ms. Vance that that wasn't necessary, that they knew we were good for taking care of them if anything should happen to the plants in digging under the city's right-of-way. So I thought we were resolved.
So what about digging under the utilities? What was the answer on that?
Digging under the utilities?
The wall.
Digging under the utilities, digging under the wall is under our wall on our property.
I understand that, but I
Right.
thought the power company couldn't come in from the south because of
They cannot come in because they can't cross that water and septic
correct,
line.
correct. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's been
So
decided. They
it's a
can't
non-
come in.
Basically, it's a false choice is what it is. I understand their concerns. We're trying to work with them and ameliorate the situation the best way we know how. But at the end of the day, we have a requirement to bring a service line underneath, on the city's right-of-way and underneath our property to service our meter.
And it's Dominion's actual decision about how they come in. And if they're in
Dominion-
the right-of-way, I've never had any situation where I could direct the power company how to run in a public right-of-way.
I've
We
been
don't-
doing this a long time in different municipalities, and I've never once told the power company, I've made suggestions, this is
Right.
what I'd like, but ultimately, it's their,
And y'all did say, have you thought about this? And then that's when they came back with the utility
exactly.
conflict. Okay.
So, and I want to emphasize one thing, this has nothing to do with the solar, this is between us, the
Understand
power
that.
company, the city engineering department, and the property owners next door.
Right, and
This is-
we're interested, y'all are interested in being good neighbors, I know.
Understand.
And you've moved into this neighborhood, downtown neighborhood, to be sort of close in, so we hope you can continue to be good neighbors, and, but getting it out of Nova probably is what's necessary. I think Dominion has the final say,
Absolutely.
and the only thing we can vote on is the solar panels in themselves, as far as I'm concerned. So we'll go ahead now. Thank you for coming back.
Ask just one
You have a
question.
comment?
So the plan that Mr. Washington asked about would have to come from Dominion.
No, Dominion said that it would have to be the city engineering department's the one that's going to have to make the final ruling on, this is a right-of-way, therefore Dominion Energy, if they want to come down the pole and come across on the city right-of-way, they have that right to do so. I'm willing to call the engineering department and get somebody out there to meet with Mr. Washington and Ms. Vance, if that's what it'll take.
Let me ask you something. Do you mind having a pole right inside your yard?
No. Yes, I do mind having a pole there because it's unnecessary.
So, Mr. Chairman, due to the length of this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Robert and Ms. Katie if you would consider please waiting until next month and let us come back to this and with your documentation of everything, because I understand I would vote no to this tonight due to you have a citizen or two citizens having an issue with it. I think the solar system would be great, but because I'm hearing unreadiness, I ask that you please present some more documentation with the city, since you said the city engineer, and two, with Dominion Energy to us next month.
Well, I respectfully ask that you reconsider because this has nothing to do with the service main access. We're here tonight asking for an approval on a solar panel display. It has nothing to do with this other, this is a,
But I don't see a display here for me to be able to vote on. That's why I'm saying
Mr.
that.
and Mrs. Washington have been very good neighbors, and they have been working with us to help resolve this issue. As you can see, there's been misunderstanding, but the issue is not related to the solar permit from design review. And we would like to move forward with our solar installation, because resolving this is with a different department than design review.
Yeah.
And it's our intention to work amicably with the Washingtons.
I understand, that's why I asked.
Neighbors, they're good neighbors, we're gonna work this out, but it really is completely unrelated to the solar application.
I would
She's
also
asking you, she's just asking you as
Yeah,
a
I think that's
courtesy, would you
supposed to-
wait or
Yeah.
I
not?
would respectfully add that this is a time is of the essence consideration for cost and scheduling in the
We're trying
workers.
to get the solar panels installed.
So 1 month is gonna hurt you?
It
It
actually
is.
is.
All right.
Yeah, they're applying for permits right now, and it would hold up the installation of the solar.
Okay.
And you probably don't want to buy the panels.
Don't want to buy the panels if the board tells us we can't have them.
Yeah, okay, good, thank you. I don't think we have any, I don't think we have a right to, we don't have anything in our guidelines to hold up this because of a power, electrical service issue. I do think it's worth one more time talking to whoever it is, Dominion or city.
Yes.
That's why I suggested that dip pole thing where you could run a wire over to, maybe even to the right-of-way, a pole in the right-of-way, and then underground, getting over the utilities.
In the historic district, the city requires that we go underground.
That's how this whole thing started.
That's how the whole thing started. The city has.
Underground in
required
your
that we go
house. I'm not talking about in your house. I'm talking about in the right-of-way.
Right.
The city doesn't have any, we don't have any jurisdiction about the right-of-way.
With the neighbors, we're not, you know,
Yeah.
I think we're having a misunderstanding, not really a problem, if that is.
Well, that's
if that
another
were-
solution is they go overhead to a pole.
Right.
And then you can
But
go
again,
into your
That
property.
has nothing to do with this solar application, and we'd like to move forward with our solar company. So we would ask you, you know, if you tell me you're gonna vote no, then.
I will vote no because you can't explain to me, I don't see exactly how it's gonna be. And that's the only reason I was ready to vote yes to go ahead and end this, but when I hear they do have a valid point when they're saying you're crossing their property.
We're not. We're
Well,
not.
I don't
It's
know
the
that because I
right-of-way.
don't see it. That's why I asked you for a permit, sir. That's why.
Mr. Law, can you explain that perhaps in a way that Ms. Cummings understands? That this is not in your
This is not in
jurisdiction?
She understands it's not related, but she can
Right.
vote however she
Yeah.
wants to vote. Yeah, I mean, we have no jurisdiction about approving
Because
how
the city
underground
doesn't-
power comes in.
I'm good, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Okay,
know.
I'm good.
So I think we'll just have to have a motion. We'll see if anyone else, thank you.
Well, I would prefer, if we know, Ms. Cummings has said she's gonna vote no on this, which will ground this project to a halt for a year. I'd just soon not have.
It didn't
that.
say for a year, ma'am. I said if you could do it for a month to bring back the validification of what's going on here so that I can understand clearly. And you said you couldn't do that. So I said I would vote no
Well,
because you can't do
It
that.
does hold up our solar installation.
Well, I'm so
It creates
sorry,
a
but,
financial hardship is what it does.
well, if 30 days is a financial hardship, I'm so sorry.
Well, it raises the cost of we have to renegotiate the contract with the solar company that we have because we don't have approval.
But you probably should have talked to your neighbors beforehand and.
Actually,
We have been talking
This
to
morning,
them
as of
all
this
along.
morning, we thought we had an understanding. This could have been, we met with Mr. Washington this morning. We were surprised to see them here at this meeting. We thought this was all resolved. We thought this was all resolved.
Don't we have a time limit, Mr. Chairman, on our topic?
Sorry.
We do. I've been trying to move the meeting forward, so thank you for coming forward. We'll just have to have our vote. And anybody else
This is
have
for
other
the
comments?
main power.
Hmm?
The trench is for the main power to their house. There is no power to their house right now.
Presumably, there's not. Mhm. Yeah, you have to have power to your house, whether you've got solar panels or not.
And so, Madam Secretary, do you happen to know if there's some other entity in the city that has the vote on this, approves this trenching plan?
So I know
Building-
that
building
energy utility companies will have franchise agreements with the city. I don't know the details of Dominion Energy's franchise agreement regarding accessing right-of-way. I know that this road is actually a state road. That portion of the road is, my understanding, I checked the Department of Transportation Street Finder, and it shows as a state road maintained by SCDOT. So I actually don't know that I don't know if the franchise agreement is with city or SCDOT. No, in short, I can't speak intelligently
Would
on
the
that.
engineering department review the Dominion Energy's plans for this? Or is it just like, okay, Dominion Energy says this is how we're gonna do it, and that's the end of it?
I don't know. I could step out and call Ryan and see if he knows the.
Actually, Mike Jordan would be the one to talk with probably to find out what they require. They're really,
I know that getting power turned on and using a temporary pole is tied to your building permit, yes, but in terms of negotiating access, trenching and right-of-way, I don't, I know that's not building
well,
inspections.
the part of the
but-
problem is if it's in the right of way, that even the city doesn't have a say on how they run their power that I know of, unless, I mean,
I think you're correct.
technically, it's, go ahead. Mhm.
I would hate to see my neighbors go without power. They need power so they can move forward. We both have issues here, but they have a power pole inside their property that they can use temporarily until we get this matter resolved. So they can have power.
You're talking about the construction power
Yeah,
that's there now? Mhm.
yeah. Right now. And the wires that he was talking about, those are not wires that have been there. These are wires that, excuse me. When they purchased the property from us, it's a property that's totally bricked all the way around, 360. During the construction company pulled those wires loose that connected our wall lights.
All right.
Now we have no lights across half our wall. But that's another issue. I'm sure Bob's gonna take care of that when he can. But the idea is that he has a means to get power until we get an official answer.
Right. And you understand that when we review applications, we review them based on our design guidelines, and we have to rely on what the design guidelines say. If it says you shall maintain a brick wall somewhere, then we don't, we have
I understand.
we're not
I'm
allowed
all
to
about-
change.
I'm all about the rules and the regulations and things like that, and you abide by them.
Yeah.
It's like the Constitution, you abide by it. But sometimes you have to make amendments.
Well, that's true. It's just.
So, Mr. Washington, so, I've been thinking about suggesting that we approve the application conditional upon their providing the drawings that you want. And so
I'm
my,
100% with that.
From Dominion, yeah.
Yeah, I'm 100% with that.
okay.
Just
I mean,
until we get everything to look, and I know what's going to happen and can address it properly.
So the, maybe issues with that are, we really don't have any authority to say yes or no to the plan. I mean, we can require that it be submitted, but we don't really have a lot of authority over it, because unless it impacts the wall, that's really not our jurisdiction. But it might be the jurisdiction of somebody else in the city.
Yeah. So I agree with
But
Bob
I
when he
mean,
says,
I'm-
let me go look here, and I'm in agreement with that.
Okay.
But, the other part of that is that to have another access that wouldn't cause any damage to us.
Okay,
That's all.
thank you. Yeah, go ahead, give your name, please.
Kathy James, 918 Colleton. Ms. Knowles, Dominion does not draw up plans and submit them to the city. That's why there are no plans. They come and they put in the power. So if we ask them for plans, I don't even know if they have a mechanism to produce such a thing, because that's not their normal operational methodology. So I'm afraid if you put our application contingent on plans that they submit, that's not
Yeah,
in their
okay.
jurisdiction. That's my
So that's
only
another,
concern.
that's another flaw with that. It's like, whose responsibility is it to come up with the plans? So, yeah, no, I understand that.
As you said, when we applied for a building permit, then they okay things like the temporary construction power, which we do have a temporary pole for construction power. But it's my understanding Dominion does not draft and submit plans. So I would hate to have this application contingent on that, because I don't think we could produce such a thing.
Mr. Chairman, let's define the word plan. It doesn't necessarily have to be a diagrammed plan, but they do have to have work done. The utility will provide to the workers a work order which states exactly what's to be done, how it's to be done, and lay out a planned implementation. I think that would be sufficient rather than a set of diagram.
Our contractor digs the ditch, which Bob and I volunteered to dig by hand to help preserve the plants. So Dominion doesn't even dig the ditch. They don't direct workers to dig here. They come and they tell you, you can dig here, but you can't dig here because this crosses water and sewer, so dig here. And then they leave the digging up to our general contractor
In the right-of-way?
in the right-of-way.
Really?
Yes.
I've not run.
I just don't see this as our jurisdiction.
Right.
I say we approve solar panels assuming you can get power to them, however you get power to them. But it's not really, I had power put in. I had David Kimball came and he got some guy to come dig a trench and they did it. You're right. Dominion said it's coming from that pole.
Well, if that's part of the process, I'm not talking about that. At least they defined, this contention here, or not the contention, but the problem is where it's coming from. So if Dominion
But
is
it
saying
has
this.
nothing to do with solar panels.
No, I'm not
They
saying.
gotta have power to the house.
Yeah.
And typically, the power company runs the power to the transformer, which is going to be in the right-of-way and coming onto their property. So I'm surprised Dominion isn't running
Yeah.
power
Well,
under the wall.
somebody has to outline what's going to happen and how it has
Yeah,
to happen. So.
They may have charged, they may, were offering to put it in and charge you for it extra to go underground as opposed
Dominion
to.
did not offer to install it. Dominion came and told us where we could install it, and that's up to our contractor to dig the ditch, if that.
It seems to me like they need to run their power from their pole to your
Yeah,
property.
so they say, dig the ditch here, and we're gonna bring it to right where your ditch starts.
There's
they put
some
a
kind of
box there.
disconnect.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking for 30 days so that we could be connected, but. Yeah.
I understand.
I want both parties to be happy.
We
And
all
so-
want everybody to be happy. I understand exactly what you're saying, but, you know, Ms. Liscum, this.
I'll go along with what Lucy said.
Bringing the main power has nothing to do with the solar.
We've got two more applications here, I believe, that these folks are waiting to hear. So we need to move on, but now, did you have one other comment, Mr. Washington?
Yes.
Okay.
As I understood it, you said, I thought I heard, your power needs to come from a transformer. Our issue is about the distance that they're traveling across this property for them to get power. Well, if they go to the transformer, it's a much shorter distance, and it's less intrusive to the whole area. That's why I was looking for some sort of plan or something. And Dominion Energy, as Bob said, he said, well, maybe we call them simultaneously. I don't know if he did or not, but I know I did. And I know I spoke to the supervisor again today, and I know the supervisor is getting a report from, Dominion Energy is sending us information because the man on site clearly said that he can put this power in from the transformer. And Bob wouldn't have it. Why does he want to come over and destroy what we got when he can get it just as easy from the other side?
I'd like to say, if your idea, thank you, Mr. Washington, but we do have other people who are waiting. I think if you had something in the motion that requested a description of the work that Dominion's going to do, surely they can tell us in one page what they're going to do. That's all we're.
That's what I asked for, from the beginning.
But I don't want to, well, we'll see how the motion goes.
I don't feel like it's part of historic design review.
Whoever makes the motion can
It's
decide.
in somebody else's department. And me personally, if I was building, I don't want DRB to add some additional thing on it, then it adds another month, you have to come back if tomorrow Mike and Dominion could solve it. I mean, it could be solved tomorrow and them not have to
I don't
wait a
think
month.
anybody is proposing we wait, I'm not, a month to get a report back. No, we're just saying that part of this is we're requesting that Dominion just describe, because we've heard, and it's not in our jurisdiction, but I think I would like to know how they do this in the historic district. They got to go under walls, they got to go underground. We've got requirements that they've got to follow, and I want to know where does that stop, that's all.
I mean, I think it
That's a
sort
good
of is in
question.
our.
Dominion may not understand about how you work in historic districts. So we can ask them to just give us a clarification of how do they run power, and this is a good situation to look at.
So how long should that be when you're saying, if it's not 30 days, should we put a time limit to it that they will get back with Mary Catherine and the staff, or?
Within
that
the
we're
next
not
30
holding-
days, right, within the next 30 days.
Yeah, so that we're not holding them up?
Yeah.
May I suggest one thing? I understand your need to know, and it is helpful for future considerations in downtown. I can tell you exactly what Dominion's going to tell you. That's what the representative told me. He says, we bring the power down the pole, and then from there, you take it across the right-of-way and go underneath the wall. So we're going to delay this whole process for you to find that out. And I agree that a call with Mike Jordan and between Mike Jordan and Dominion Energy would clear this up probably tomorrow morning for anybody's concern.
This has nothing to do with solar panels. We're going to vote on solar panels,
Okay.
one way, up or down, but we're also going to ask them for information.
Okay, I just don't want one to be contingent on the other because.
Well, it depends on how the motion's
I
made.
started the conversation by saying this is an apple and that's an orange. And I'd like to end it there.
So all we're asking for is, okay, the trench is going to go like this, and, this is what it's going to look like. I mean, I think it's simple.
Right.
And I think, I at least am hoping that if this all comes out, that, maybe this will, I think there's problems with the facts here, and when we have some facts on paper, maybe some of the issues would go away.
We want to know what's Dominion's standard operating procedure, where do they stop? That's all we're asking. We need to know that. How's Mr. McGhee going to get power to his houses? He's got an alleyway in the back. Are they going to be poles back there? I think that's relevant.
I understand. But may I just offer one more recommendation? If you enlarge the tax map to the property, I'll show you exactly where the power is coming, just for everybody's clarification, 'cause it's pretty straightforward.
I don't know that we have time to do that right now. We have gone, I don't know, what, an hour, 40 minutes?
Yeah.
On this, and we still have 2 more people to hear, but I appreciate your offer.
Thank
But if it were in our jurisdiction, we'd be glad to do that, but it's not. So, now, I think we're open for a motion, or we'll be
Lucy
here.
has it.
Okay. With respect to application number H210026, I move that we approve the application as submitted, provided, however, that the applicant will provide more information in writing on how the electrical service will be provided to the house.
Hopefully by the power company.
Right, not by them.
Don't we want to say that
Yeah, but it's their responsibility
to get it. That is,
Yeah, right.
that's right. And if, we're going to keep asking for it. First thing we need to
And
know.
I would add that we ensure that it does not impact the wall. Even if the wall's only
That's
20 years
fine.
old.
That is
if-
good.
If it impacts the wall, it needs to come back to us.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay,
And once we provide that, then say that happens 3 days from now, then it's approved, not 30 days from now?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, that way everybody will be happy.
all right, so we have a motion, and we have
Second,
we had a slight amendment to it, and I do think it's important to mention the wall. If whoever's digging under the wall, be aware.
I think the wall would be why we would care. That'd be
Correct.
really the only reason why we
Correct.
would care.
Okay, any other comment,
Just the
discussion?
fact that you can't, there's an implied area that we're dealing with. That,
Yeah.
When you approve the solar panels, you're also approving the electrical to associate with it.
Sure.
So in an area that is kind of out of ours, but in ours, the fact that we need to be cognizant of how it's taking place, that it doesn't impact.
And it'll happen again, if
Exactly.
if we don't get it resolved here, it'll come up again, I think.
And I think one of our duties too is to try to act as a neutral party, looking at all things, to try to bring the parties together.
And we have a little bit of leverage with Dominion, not a lot, but a little.
And just to clarify, once I receive, that is to be submitted to staff. And when I receive that, I disseminate for administrative.
Right, I think that's probably what we'll,
Okay. that's
I'll agree
fine.
with that.
Yeah,
Ryan and
right.
I will look at it, because we need to know that. Again, that we've got Mr. McGhee's houses going in. I'm curious about how that's
y'all
going
will
to
let
work.
us know the information too. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Everybody's
okay.
happy.
Got the motion, got a second? Okay, all in favor of this motion with this additional information requested, raise your right hand. Okay, so that approves the solar panels, but we want to get to Dominion to respond with a just description of what their approach is going to be. Thank you. Now, we'll move on to these folks that have been waiting all night to hear a verdict on, sounds like the next one is the roofing. Yes, you're welcome. Thank you for coming. Hey, what?
Now we'll have a little laugh here.
You're not running any power to this building, are you? Okay,
Mickey Anaclario, 916 Calhoun Place Southeast.
yeah, yeah.
And this is application number CERH21-028, applicant ARC Properties of Aiken LLC, requests approval for roof replacement at 243 York Street Southeast, tax map parcel 121-9-07-003.
Yeah. And he's, let me ask, this is one of the oldest houses in town, I think. And we appreciate your
Making us all old.
keeping it put together. You've gotten grayer since you inherited this house, Mickey. Now, how's your window project coming?
Expensive on demolition. So
Okay.
because I have so much water coming off the back side of the house and now it's going underneath the house, that's taking precedence. I think I'm 1 year into the 2-year, and I'm sure I'll be revisiting you all about the
About the windows.
windows.
Yeah, I knew that was a concern.
The tax assessment.
Yes, when I get to it, but this is a lot more pressing. And then we'll see about
The
that.
water, those are your little,
Yeah, if you look, you can't see because of that tree, but if you look on the back of Exhibit B, I guess, of the pictures of the house, those are the it's really that L shape is what's going to be done. And right there in the L, that's where all the water's coming off there. And that whole roof needs to be redone, but the reason why I'm even here is because I'm using Rhett Johnson, and the pitch of the roof, when we added that lean-to over the porch, and matched the existing on the back of the house. We did that years ago. But because of the pitch on the house and using the shingles, that's just caused a lot of damage. I mean, it just didn't have enough for runoff. I guess we didn't put them on with a whole lot of overlapping. So he suggested, I call it the rubber roof. And he said they do it, he's done it several places in town. And, you know, I told him, I said, you know, I have no problem. As long as it looks black, it would probably look cleaner up against there, and then I'd have all the fascia reworked and, you know, make it all look right.
it'll look like a tar.
That's the reason why I'm here,
Yeah, yeah, we understand.
It's really changing up the product.
We always appreciate that people that are having to maintain and invest in these historic properties. So I see that you've got a rather expensive metal roof on the front porch, and it looks like is the main roof metal? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
And the
okay.
reason why we did that, because it was already, metal on the front.
Yeah, that's right.
So all that had to be.
Okay, we understand that. Do y'all understand what he wants to do? He's trying, the low slopes, just really, he can't do shingles, that's probably what was there. And I think he's probably trying to take some of the money he would have spent putting metal on these low roofs and use it on windows. So,
I prefer to.
so now, you guys understand this? And if you do, we'll,
But what I don't understand is it has shingles on it now?
Yes. When we added
shouldn't
the
have.
left circle there, when we added that lean-to, DRB or historic, whatever we were back then, because that's probably been close to 20 years ago, that I got approved shingles because it was on the back of the house, and we got it approved to do the whole L-shaped. But I remember, I'm pretty sure I remember that saying, because it was on the back of the house, it wasn't, you know, the main, as McDonald said, the main roof being metal, then they went ahead and approved it as being shingle.
And it's
The addition
really,
is the lean-to that you see over the porch.
one of them is maybe a 1.5 and 12.
So this second circle, you're not doing that, or you are
Yes.
doing that?
Yes, because it all became one shingled roof as an L shape.
Yeah.
You can see that.
But back there in the corner, it's a real shallow slope.
This was the old metal roof, this right here, there's just still, I'm gonna leave that there, but that's nothing but a tar concoction.
Yeah.
So that's why we asked for and got the shingle roof starting there on the edge all the way around to the other corner.
Well, anytime anybody's trying to prevent water from getting into old structures, then I'm in favor of it.
Absolutely.
But we'll see. I'm gonna go and ask if anyone else wants to speak. I appreciate your, he'd have. Well, I'm afraid we have to wake you guys up to tell you it's your time. Okay, let's have a motion if y'all don't mind.
Mr. Chairman, reference application number H21-028. I request that we approve this as presented to the L-shaped area to install a rubber roof on that back section.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, we understand the need because of the water damage and deteriorating of the shingles, which probably should not be in that location. Raise your right hand. Okay. One of our members almost went to sleep there, I believe.
Thank y'all very much, and I just want to say one more for the record, that ever since you did the executive session, and I mean, you guys really do go for the compromise and, you guys help people as opposed to hinder them and for the good of the city.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for your patience.
Have a good night.
You too. Now, we got one more. Don't forget him. You want to read his?
God, we're gone.
I think our time's up, isn't it?
Well, I guess we better adjourn.
Goodbye.
See you next month.
Application number CER H21-029. Applicant Joseph L. Harrison requests approval for the design of a detached garage with second floor living space at 234 Sumter Street Southeast. That's tax map parcel 121-10-26-013. And I've outlined in your staff reports all of the concerns that were raised, expressed by the board regarding the design of this garage at the last meeting. And as far as I can tell, I've tried to capture everything, and Mr. Harrison has submitted for your consideration plans that I do believe address all of the concerns that were raised. He is requesting an option for still on the front facade of the garage, but he has presented as an alternative as the single gable front.
Good. Okay, and we'll ask Mr. Harrison, if he's still awake, if he'd come forward and give us his name and address for the record.
Is this a 5-minute time limit?
And I'm Joe Harrison.
Okay,
Glad to be here.
good. Thank you for waiting through that. And I want to commend our secretary for doing such a good job of tracking our comments and including them in red. You all can see, and they have been addressed.
Proud of her too.
Thanks.
Good job. And you have actually moved that deck around, so you don't have any neighbors here tonight. So I think you've solved a lot of problems, and I think Helen she deserves some compliments as well. Now, I see that you still would like the double.
I think it adds character.
Yeah, and
Likes it, and that's what's.
right. And our folks will look at it, and we can vote. There you go. That's good. There's B, and then A is there. You guys see it? One of them, keep in context, that's a symmetrical, relatively symmetrical. Looks like maybe it's a little bit biased to the left, but it's almost symmetrical. Almost symmetrical. And the house is sort of symmetrical too. Now the other one, let's look at the next one. It has a higher ridge up there, I believe. Okay, so you've got a little more cost in running that second gable up there. But if that's your preference, our board can discuss it and look at it. I would say that, in just one consideration is it's not going to be that visible from the street, because that's the side view. And it may be even blocked by the house in front. So it's splitting hairs a little bit. Some of us may prefer that simpler one because your front house is simple, but we'll listen to your. You've really gone out of the way to make that deck work, and it's actually a more usable size deck anyway.
It is.
There. And probably gives the people on the deck a little more privacy if they're than hanging out on the side of somebody's next door property. So now, any other questions? Do y'all see what we got?
Yeah, my only question to the secretary is, can we make the motion in the alternative and give him the option of which one he wants?
Yes.
So if he changes his mind, he doesn't have to come back here?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that option.
Yeah. I think we've come a long way, and so I don't think there's a reason to stop your progress. And you've had it redrawn, and you remember what it was before with the big Palladian window. So he's
I
really
included that just so
Yeah.
you can.
see where it came from. Yeah. Yeah, see, that, I think, would have been, if you drive around to the back of that, very simple structure that you have in front, and then you see that, you think, well, where did this come from? And that, now it's not giving you, it fits together, so we've come a long way. Thank you then, Joe, and we will see if we can't have a motion. I don't see anybody else who wants to comment, so if you've got any, if you want to make some more comments on anything else, let us know. But other than that, we'll let you sit down and we'll try to vote.
So, Mr. Chairman, with respect to application number H210, I move that we approve the application as, the revised application as submitted, provided that the applicant shall have the option which of the two alternatives for the front facade that he wishes to select.
Right. And he's really got 90% there with, really with any of them. So it fits with the neighborhood and with the house in front. Any other comment? We got a motion, we got a second. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the application and the submittal and motion as it's made. Thank you.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Mr. Chair, just for the record, I don't know if in the excitement I said this, for item 3E on the agenda, you had before you, and we will include for the record, Exhibit F, additional information, and for agenda item 3F, you had before you, the comment received, we will include that as Exhibit E, comment received.
Okay.
Oh.
And that's Paula, for Paula, okay? I think we've got that, and we'll take our, matrix that you gave us and review it, and maybe next time we'll have time to go into it a little bit.
And Mary Catherine, on that electric thing, I would just be curious, just for, I like to learn. So if we learn in the historic district, if Dominion has any different rules, or if, it's a little odd to me that Dominion, the whole thing seems odd to me. There's got to be some approval process.
Yeah, I know, all I know is that the city does require that utilities be buried, for new construction, or single-family residential. You've got to bury your utilities.
And that's on their property, and that's correct. But see, there's this no man's land out there in the right-of-way, and, it's like the Wild West out there, apparently. They do.
The whole world's a wild west.
They do all kinds of things, and I'm just curious about how that process works.
It probably is the whole country.
If we can get somebody to respond. And maybe with Gary, we'll have to talk to him and just tell us how, for future reference. And they can start off by addressing this particular one. See, I think you could run a poll over and go over those utilities. But the city we might have to agree to having a pole in their yard. They don't want a pole, sounds like.
Was there officially a motion and a second for adjournment?
Yes.
Yes.
It was?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Did everybody say?
You want to stay? If you want to stay and discuss some more things.